For the third hour of our program, Marjorie Taylor-Greene is in a little bit of hot water here. It's strange goings-on down in Georgia. Mark Alesia is an investigative reporter with rawstory.com. His Twitter handle is Mark Alesia, M-A-R-K-A-L-E-S-I-A. And, of course, Raw Story's website is rawstory.com. And you can check it out. Raw Story investigates Marjorie Taylor-Greene's well, actually, the headline is Marjorie Taylor-Greene gets fresh scrutiny from regulators after election violation fine. Mark, welcome to the program. So glad to have you with us. Tell us about this story.
Well, I think, Tom, what it really says is, or what it shows is kind of at best, a disregard for election law, and at worst, contempt. Is this something that's going to bring Marjorie Taylor-Greene down? No, it's not. But it shows this inattention, almost cavalier inattention to detail. For this twice within the last 3 months, she's been questioned by the FEC. And the first time she agreed to a fine of $12,000. And then in a separate case this week, she was challenged about the name of a new PAC that she started.
And what's the essence of the argument or the charges against her?
Well, let's go with the first one. Was for a PAC, her PAC, super PAC, that she started called Stop Socialism Now. And it was related to raising money for the Georgia runoff election in 2020. And where she ran into trouble was this sort of super PAC can raise unlimited money. So the law is that a member of Congress cannot be out there soliciting money for this. So she appeared in a video that was created by the PAC, and she put it on her website, on social media, not on her website, on I think it was X or Twitter back then, and maybe Facebook. Anyways, it was on social media. She was clearly soliciting money for this cause, which is just, from what I could tell, it was just a blatant violation. She agreed to a settlement with the FEC, and then she said that, she said that she got bad legal advice. Well, okay, whatever. But she agreed to the settlement, $12,000 fine. Right. Again, is it a huge deal? Is it going to break the bank? No, it's not. But it shows people something about how our politicians are treating election law, and in some sense, the I don't want to say powerlessness, but the inability of the FEC to really come down hard.
Is the the FEC was paralyzed through most of the Trump administration. I know there were a bunch of charges that Trump was taking donations that were wildly in excess of the law, but it was, as I recall, deadlocked 2 to 2 or 3 to 3.
That's what, that happens all the time.
Yeah, so tell us about that.
Yeah, it's paralyzed that way, and so really it often doesn't have a lot of teeth. I mean, at Raw Story, we look at a lot of FEC documents, and we scrutinize things like what my colleague, Alexandria Jacobson, did, which was reporting of stock purchases by members of Congress. They have to do it within a certain amount of time, do they? And she found numerous violations of that. So it's just another example of the lawmakers not paying attention to the letter of the law.
Is this widespread generally, or is this a problem largely with Republican candidates?
I would say that it's probably both sides. Now, with Marjorie Taylor-Greene, the thing this week's issue was the name of a super PAC that she started, MTG for Georgia. It's what's called a leadership PAC. And with that, leadership PAC allows congresspeople to raise money that they give to other members without dipping into their own campaign funds. But a central tenet of leadership PACs is you don't put your name in the name of the PAC. And MTG for Georgia, well, I think by now people know what MTG stands for.
Right.
And the FEC sent her a letter and said, now look, is this PAC for your campaign personally, or is this a leadership PAC? And so I don't know what they plan to do. They didn't respond to us. They didn't respond to Ross' story. And they could maybe change the name, or they can shut it down again. I don't know what they'll end up doing.
It seems that there is, a rather cavalier attitude across the GOP, with regard to election law and things like this. To the best of my knowledge, a lot of the illegal contributions that were given to Donald Trump were never returned. Are you familiar with that? Is that something that you've looked into?
I have not delved into that, but I know basically what you're bringing up, and I think you're right in that sense. But why should we be surprised with the way truth is being dealt with by that party and by its now presidential candidate?
Yeah, it's been a serious problem for the GOP since the Reagan Revolution in many ways, Oh, yes, give us a tax cut. It'll help the economy. No, it doesn't. It just makes billionaires richer. I mean, it's just, for example. We're talking with Mark Alesia. He's an investigative reporter with Raw's Story, rawstory.com. Mark Alesia on Twitter or on X. Where is this going to go? And has there been any citizen involvement in this, or did the FCC just track this down all by themselves?
I believe they saw the name. No, these sorts of cases can be initiated by citizens or by interest groups. That's what happened with the case with the $12,000 fine. I don't want to say the wrong organization, but it was definitely started by a complaint from an interest group. This one, I think it was just such a basic violation that somebody at the FEC saw the application for the organization, which was only from last month, and said, MTG, that's tantamount to having a name, and that's not okay. Right,
and you can't have a name. Do you think that this is going to have any impact at all on the voters in Georgia? I mean, Marjorie Taylor-Greene is up for re-election this November.
No, I mean, probably not. Yeah. And it's a real shame. I mean, bulletproof politicians, it's just, it reflects our society right now, how polarized and dug in people are.
Well, if Republicans will vote for a convicted rapist or an adjudicated rapist, for a guy who's lost billions of dollars, having his businesses fail one after the other, a guy who cut a deal with a foreign government for through the Live Golf Tour, it looks like he got hundreds of millions of dollars. We don't know for sure, but certainly his son-in-law got $2 billion, and his former Treasury Secretary got $1 billion, and we don't know how much of that has made its way back to Donald Trump. I mean, I can't imagine, Mark, any of these things being done by Joe Biden or any Democrat for that matter, and they're surviving it. It's like
with MTG, you've got the Jewish space lasers. Remember that one?
Oh yeah, and she went off obscenely about that last night.
Yes, right? that's why I bring it up. I mean, it was her dismissiveness, profane dismissiveness of the BBC interviewer.
Right.
To me, it was sort of reflects her attitude toward the FEC, except there weren't any curse words.
Yeah, this was at Mar-a-Lago. For people who don't know what we're talking about, down at Mar-a-Lago, Marjorie Taylor-Greene was being interviewed by a reporter for the BBC who simply and I think fairly reasonably asked her about her Jewish space lasers comment, and she said, "Why don't you just F off?" Only she didn't say F. I mean, she said the whole word, And it's really surprising. Mark, you're doing God's work. Keep up the great investigative reporting. Mark Alesia over at Raw Story. Mark, thank you so much for dropping by today.
Thank you, Tom. I appreciate it.
Good talking with you. Raw Story is just one of the great websites out there, and you're doing marvelous work.